Welcome back to another episode of What About Dat? My name's Adair, and with the help of my friend Jen, we'll be going over Wynonna Earp, episode 209, Forever Mine, Nevermind. So sit back, relax, and ask yourself, hey, what about that? So, man, this episode is, oh my gosh. I was being silly. Sorry, guys, I didn't have my mic near me. Excuse you, sir. Yeah, so this episode is pretty awesome. There's a lot. I love the fact that Emily could just put so much into one episode. I'm like, there are only 12 episodes in this season, and I feel like we've watched 26 already. And I think that's really great. Bo makes his cameo. Mr. Bo, the creator of the comics, shows up in the first 2 seconds of the show, and I was like, yes, I appreciate that. Him and Doc giving each other a little stare down, and I don't know. Stuff like that makes me happy. I think it's adorable. Then we get into our evil antique dealer, salesman, devil thing guy. I say kudos to Sci-Fi for giving us a CGI budget on the devil tail. I think that's actually pretty great. And yeah, I kind of have a lot of questions about this guy up front. And Jen, maybe you can, talk about this too with me. It's on the idea of, is he a revenant? Is he something else? Did he just come through the Ghost River Triangle? He seems to have known Doc, and obviously, and him offering a painting to a baby, possibly a nursery. Like, how does he know that Doc would be in the market for that? If he knows Doc, like, I don't know. What'd you think? Because there was just something weird about it.
I found this whole scene very weird and odd, and I get that they were establishing a new villain, but my first initial thoughts, as soon as I saw this scene, I just wrote a real quick note. I put demon, I put pawn shop, whiskey, and why, because I didn't understand to begin with why Doc would go into this pawn shop. So let's just set this up, right? Doc is the owner of a bar, the biggest bar in town, but he goes to a pawn shop, and the pawn shop looks like something out of my grandma's house with all the crystal little figurines and the china just everywhere, all over, littering the top of cabinets. And he, instead of shopping, orders a whiskey. And then he looks off to the side, and he sees this painting. And I said I thought I'd seen this painting somewhere in the opening credits or somewhere earlier throughout the season. And then he looks at the painting and then kind of impulsively decides to buy it, because we'll later learn that he has this upcoming dinner with Wynonna, awkward baby daddy dinner with Wynonna. And he just buys it as a spur of the moment decision. And then he finishes whiskey and he leaves. And this was all to set up this demon tail man. But I just was like, why? I didn't understand why he was even there. If I owned my own bar, I wouldn't go to pay for alcohol at another one. And Doc doesn't seem like the kind of guy who gives 10 shits about the quality. He and Wynonna both have that shared love for cheap alcohol. So
You're right.
I felt like setting it up was clunky.
I kind of see anytime in a show that something like that happens, I kind of in my mind have already set up why, and not necessarily why. I mean, he's out on the town doing what he wants to do, but him like getting the painting and him showing up, I'm like, I don't get why he's drinking at another place, but maybe he was out. I don't know. Maybe he was on an errand doing something else. I get setting up the demon. I also just got a huge vibe that I know that it's kind of like we had a faux bad guy, which was the doll, the whole episode. But the true bad guy is the devil guy who sold him the painting to begin with. To me, there was a lot of backstory there that made me think, oh, this devil guy is going to come back. He has the green eyes. He doesn't have revenant red eyes, so he must have walked through the ghost triangle. He knows Doc and has said, hey, this, when Doc says, let's wrap it up, he goes, it's just beginning. So I already know he's coming back, and I can't wait to see more of him because there clearly is something going on. Anyway, so I thought that was really cool. Creepy ass painting is creepy. I mean, it was cute when he sees it. gets to the house, it's creepy, but we'll talk about that a little later. I wanted to move on to kind of just the minor characters or minor storylines this episode, because there are about, I would say, 3 kind of stories that were important, but not super important. So, Doc and Jeremy, as they call themselves, Rizzoli and Isles, or, you know, Kevin Hart and Ice Cube, or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. My question, real quick, for you. What is the Doc and Jeremy ship? Go. What's their name? What are we going to call them?
Well, I mean, you could call them Doolamy, which sounds very...
That sounds terrible.
I actually like Doolamy. You want to know why? Because it sounds like some kind of, like, Dungeons and Dragons thing, which would make Jeremy happy.
There's a hard U in there that
I know.
It doesn't flow.
Well, it's like dual. Like, anyways, or Dollamy. That's like a dollop.
Jeremy... Dollop? No, that doesn't
Jeremy,
work.
Gerals? Or Drawls?
Okay, sometimes it doesn't work with names, so you just have to think of them as people. Like, we have Super Core, that's not their name, but we just ship that shit together anyways. So it's like, Doc is like badge, nerd badge.
Well, you can call them Nerdy Dragon. That might work.
Nerdy Lizard. Oh.
Nerdy Lizard. Well, a lizard's not as good as a dragon. That's what I'm saying. Nerdy Dragon.
He's more of a lizard to me. We haven't really established that he is.
I mean, a lizard has a S tongue that goes like, you know, like the little... But a dragon spits fire. So, he spit fire. That's all I'm saying.
I always thought he was more of a kimono dragon.
He's not a Mushu, but I mean... This could be its own video.
He's a Yoshi.
Oh my god. No, I feel like Jeremy's a Yoshi. He's just so adorable. And you just want to, like, take him around like a little pet.
You know, like, I feel like Jeremy's been hitting on Doc for weeks on end. And it's unreciprocated, and it's painful to watch. But I love his pining. I love man pining.
I actually love the fact that he knows he's pining. And, like, everybody will remind him. He's like, yeah, I know. Like,
I enjoy it.
I think that's
so
hilarious.
Cute.
I'm like, good for you, Jerry.
He was put in this world to flirt with the men.
But I like the fact that the guys, they're not even, like... grossed out. They're just annoyed now, but like not even bad annoyed. They're just like, yeah, sir. Way to make it awkward. Like,
but you know, like, okay, if I had to pick between Doc and Dolls for Jeremy, this episode really, really did make the case for a Dolls Jeremy ship. I felt more so than a Doc Jeremy ship.
It's just precious all around.
I think they're cute. They got some good man flirting going on. And I mean, Jeremy initiates it, but Doc was not, he did not reciprocate it. He was like, I'm not your, what was that?
I'm not your daddy, Dolls, you mean? He's like, I'm not your daddy.
I'm not your daddy.
But I like the fact that Jeremy has the confidence to say that. He's like, the fact that that's the first thing you think of, like, in this crazy, like, accent thing he was trying to do, and he's like, yeah, your daddy. He's like, I'm not your daddy. Like, it was so awkward for me to watch, but I loved it. I like the fact that their bromance is very much, like, a nice way to have comedy relief without being too slapsticky, but at the same time, fun. I really liked... Okay, there's 2 things that happened with Dolls and Jeremy that I thought was great. Dolls whooping Black Widow Mercedes... and, like, tricking her in the house when it got all dark. I thought that was very cool. It was very kind of scary and awesome discovery of Dolls finding Mercedes' faceless, pretty much still alive body, which I have questions about. And Jeremy coming to, in a way, protect Dolls. He steps in front of Dolls to protect him from the wind. You know, he takes that hit for Dolls. But he was also smart enough to come with a little... mask or some kind of solvent that's supposed to stop the bad breath from the widows. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that was awkward.
That was awkward as fuck, but it actually made me laugh. He's like, yeah, I did it. And then he takes it off. He's like, just kidding. And I'm still passed out. You know, it's like so close. You were so close, Jeremy, to making that really good. You know,
I need to see that on a crack video with like dramatic music in the background. That's saved.
Everybody, please get on it. Yeah. Like, I want to see fan art of just Jeremy jumping in front of, like, you know, Black Widow.
Doc's arms.
Yeah,
or Doll's arms.
I think that's hilarious. I don't know, something about that was so good. But
okay, so who do you ship more, Jeremy and Doc or Jeremy Dolls?
Actually, I don't ship either. I see them as a group love of just all 3 of them.
Poly love.
I mean, really in the show, we're working on tries, guys. The trios. We have Wynonna Doc Dolls trio. We have Doc Dolls Jeremy. We have now Rosita, Waverly, and Nicole. Like, we're all about these poly loving this.
I love it.
This bitch. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
And then I'm just waiting for one more girl to join in on the Wynonna, Nicole, and we just need one more girl. Maybe if Mercedes gets her face back, but like I doubt it. Like,
my girl Rachel Scarsdale.
Oh, get Eliza to come back. It's just a lot.
She was so. I love that little flirt they had.
I think it'd be hilarious. You know, I just think that those two were really cool. And for me, Jeremy, I like the fact that yes, he's goofy. He's the little brother nobody asked for, but I love that he is constantly working on things to make the group safe. He's not saying, hey guys, I'm gonna come up with this invention. He's just doing it and he's testing it. He's not even like being cautious with his testing. He is out there actively thinking of things to save the group. And I think that's actually a real show of a hero, even though he might not fight, he might not be as aggressive, but that's his way of, you know, really participating and being a useful member of the group. So I just think that's really cool.
I think they just don't have the minutes to give him to put that on camera, but I think that's like the appropriate storyline to put off camera. Yeah. In terms of like last week, we saw a relationship between Rosita and Dolls. I mean, Doc. Come to fruition.
Yeah.
We saw it come to fruition, and then we were like, wait a second, they were dating, and that was something I would have rather have seen on screen.
Wait, did you just say fruition?
Like, in pieces. Yeah, it like came into
fruition?
Existence. Fruition. Okay. I'm like having this thought, this connected
I know, but it was sorry. It was just so because I was like,
you know, you're right. Actually, you're right. I should sound educated on this.
No, it just made me laugh because I was like, did she say fruition? And I was like, what's fruition? I was like, am I wrong? And I was like, oh. Fruition.
And actually, that's a word you use a lot, and I think I was just picking up on your
well jargon. You're welcome.
Anyways, those were some moments that I would rather see.
Yeah,
especially knowing what we know now about Rosita is the backstory between her and Doc, that relationship that kind of grew off camera. I would have rather seen that than all the goofy moments with Jeremy this season. But I do feel it's really appropriate in this episode. They kind of hit it on the head with giving Jeremy this little story and then keeping what he's been up to off camera. I think it works.
Yeah, I think it is actually quite fun, and I think that'll be kind of resolved. I think next episode, a lot's going to get resolved, but I really loved just that moment and those two guys. Going to kind of more of the meaty Wynonna and Doc's moments. The thing is, I like the fact that this was not a physical, like action-packed storyline. But as Jen said, it is an emotional storyline between Doc and Wynonna. For me, starting out in this episode, Doc kind of giving Rosita a cold shoulder and kind of reminding us that he's kind of a dick. I mean, we love Doc, but he's actually kind of a dick, you know? And when she's like, oh, you're going to her house to eat? Okay, cool. She's all cool about it, you know, being an adult. And then she's like, oh, so you're not going to say bye? And he's like, bye. Like, it was just like, damn, that was cold, Doc. Like, that was ice cold. Like, I mean, I get it. She's your, like, side chick and all, but, like, damn, that was rude as fuck. So, like, for me, seeing that, after seeing the Vision Quest and kind of seeing old Doc, I'm starting to now see pieces of old Doc in the modern Doc. Does that make sense? I'm starting to see where he can be a little callous and a little selfish. This is an adorable moment to see Wynonna start to nest. It's kind of like taking a feral cat and trying to make it a house cat. I mean, the cat's going to just claw up all your furniture, pee everywhere in the house, just like, you know, shake its kitty litter all over your floor. Like, it's a messy process to get this, you know, feral cat to be a house cat. And it's kind of what it looks like with Wynonna. It's like, you know, she's like, I cooked you something, and it's like the worst mac and cheese. You know, it's like she's wearing her apron, and, you know, if you get my decorative pillows, don't shoot them, or it's, you know, I'll kill you. Don't tell people I said decorative pillows. You know, yes. It's just so cute to watch her try that and becoming more comfortable with being uncomfortable. She's becoming way more comfortable in her body and the idea that she's gonna grow a baby with hands. Like, Rosita's like, so you're gonna have it naturally? She's like, how else will I have it? It's like, what is it? Things like that crack me up, and I'm glad she's starting to embrace that. In this moment of this dinner, yeah, we had this weird supernatural creepy doll painting thingamajig happening in the background, but the honesty and the like love, anger, and frustration that they both carry to each other was really cool to see. The painting made them say supposedly their really deepest, darkest things, but like, I mean, I would give praise to Tim and Melanie. I think it's just those two actors really connecting and understanding their characters enough to know we're not saying this out of hate or anger. It's out of love, it's out of duty, it's out of frustration. She's like, just give me the damn ring, and he's like, you're going to be the death of me and all this other stuff. And I think that, it's going to be a lot, It's just, I don't know, for some reason, I don't know. Sorry, I'm rambling because I was like, I really just like that moment. There's so much. Jen, please talk about it.
Okay. Yes, I feel like you went through a slew of things.
There's just a lot.
I want to go back.
No, do please
start over because you made a lot of points, and I want to look at them. So, Wynonna being with Doc was the storyline B for this episode, and it was the emotional arc that she was playing out. So there was less action in it, and we returned to this picture. And one of the things is they have this dinner planned between Wynonna and Doc, and the dinner is all about kind of Wynonna bringing to the table that she wants the ring. She wants Doc's ring because she needs it to break the seal, the third seal, because she doesn't want to wait for any more. She doesn't want to wait for these widows to find the ring. She kind of wants to break it herself and then resolve the conflict. She wants to kill who she has to kill so she can break this curse. And we see it again. You mentioned it. Doc having like a selfish side, and this scene really goes a lot of places. It's a really long scene. It gets intercut with other scenes, but it goes a lot of places because initially Doc does not want to give her the ring, and it's because, and we get this really amazing backstory, this monologue from Doc about who he was as a boy, his experience with tuberculosis, his fear of death, where it comes from having to see his mother die of the same disease he has, and why he doesn't really want to give her the ring, because she's kind of right. This plan might kind of work, might take away the immediate danger that they're in, but at the end of the day, he's still a man who's battling with his own hubris, who's still trying to avoid death. And we talked about it. We talked about Doc not being able to fully have a human experience or a relationship until he's given up this piece of magical ring.
This idea of mortality, ultimately.
Right.
Because to make a human, you have to be, mortal. You can't be immortal to really feel the humanity, and the fear of the end. So I think, yeah, that's what you were saying. It's like, he has to get over it,
Yeah, and there's nothing more human than being at a dinner in a house with a meal cooked for you and playing the role of daddy and seeing the woman that you do love, who does make you want to change, like with the child and this responsibility basically laid out. This dinner scene was what he could have, and it takes him the whole episode to come to the conclusion that in fact is a choice that he wants to make,
Mm-hmm.
So I just felt like there was a lot going on with this scene, and then we had that as the base emotion in the scene, and then we have this overarching painting that Doc brings into the house. We talked about this painting of the homestead and a grassy prairie plains and a little girl, and in the beginning it's very bright, but it's possessed, and it was given to Doc by the demon. And basically, this painting's brought into the house, and when he brings it into the house, it's completely a different painting. And you and I talked about this, that the fact that it really bothered us, right? And I mean, if you want to speak to why it bothered us.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. It just kind of, like, out of all the people, Doc is the most observant. You know, he knows that Wynonna takes her coffee black, and, you know, he knows a lot of things. Like, he just pays attention. He's a quiet man, and he's a person of action. So he gets this beautiful painting in the beginning. You know, it catches his eye, you know, for the baby's room, which, how does the devil know it'd be good for? Anyways, that just seemed a little shady. He takes it, and when he gets back, it's a completely different photo. Not even like, oh, kind of like maybe the same background, same house, and the girl changes. No, it's like dark. It looks weird. Like, I don't know actually what the fuck's going on, you know? Doc would have known, like, what is this? Did he wrap up the wrong photo? Like, why is this painting all of a sudden a completely different photo, you know? He would have kept that in mind. Like, this is a little weird. You know, and I don't know, it just kind of, for us, it was bizarre that this guy who's super attentive to detail didn't notice a completely different photo. And then, like, I don't know, there's just something was weird about it.
It brings me back to Doc in the first episode when he brings dynamite to the Black Badge fight. And that's just something he thinks about beforehand, before he leaves. So just when you have a painting that is so drastically different and just to glaze over it, it just felt like both he and Wynonna just kind of like overlooked this, but that didn't make sense. It felt out of character because they're both demon hunters and they both have a sense of the supernatural.
Well, I mean, I get why Wynonna didn't know because she didn't see the original photo, but like...
Right, she kind of like is like, oh, you got me this.
Yeah, like this ugly ass painting. Yeah. What is that about? And he's like,
yeah, I'm gonna hide it, flip it around.
This is not what I picked out. You know,
but like
that's weird.
My other problem with this storyline for this episode, and I explained it to you off the cast, but here it is. I think that this was such a trope that we've seen before. We've seen this, and I'm going to use Annabelle as the greatest example of it. You know, a haunted doll, you know, a scary story about the haunted doll you bring into your house and it's possessed. So we've seen what inanimate object possession storyline looks like over and over and over in pop culture. And I felt like with this handling of that storyline, it was very kind of, it was messy. And I felt like the writers assumed that we knew this story and kind of assumed that we'd fill in the blanks, but then didn't really do a good job of transitioning from the story of this portrait into this actual dramatic scene. So I felt like, honestly, from my perspective, I felt like you didn't even need the portrait storyline. I mean, the only really reason you have it there is to introduce another bad guy, a demon, right? But the portrait itself felt like it didn't need to, like, really be the source of the conflict between Wynonna and Doc, because that was, like, a conversation that they could have had without being possessed. That's just a conversation you have when you're pregnant and you got to figure out your life with your baby daddy and who happens to have an immortal ring. That was a heavy conversation that they were going to have.
Yeah, the thing is, I also think that maybe instead of a painting and a doll, it could have been like a Dorian Gray situation maybe, where the devil sells him a painting maybe of him and like then it reaps havoc that way, or even it's just a doll, like an Annabelle situation or a Chucky situation. But I don't know, it felt weird with both, but I was telling Jin the one thing that we were missing to kind of connect that transition of this doll painting thing is the one causing us to act this way or say our truth. All you needed were, and they might have had this, they might have actually shot this, more close-ups, more interactions with the actual doll. Because a lot of the times we were being told by Doc and Wynonna that, oh, you know, at the end, it's like, oh, maybe the painting made us do it and blah, blah, blah. But during the whole night, I would have liked to have seen some more close-ups, almost as though we can see the doll putting its power out, and then the next scene with them would have been like them saying something nasty, so that the audience gets the visual cue that the doll or the painting is actually the one in charge, not just them telling us later. So I think, I mean, it could have been an editing thing, it could have been just more shots, but if we would have had more close-ups, more lingering shots, before they say something nasty or really harsh to each other, every time the stakes got amped up in the conversation of the dinner, I felt like there should have been some visual cues about the doll. Yes, we see the doll move, in the paintings, we see the doll move, but just because the doll moves doesn't mean it's creating drama for the people around it. It's just moving. So just because we saw it move doesn't mean it's, possessing them or making their choices different. I think there should have been something that made me feel like, oh snap, that doll is really putting in some good work. Also, it's true. Also, I think that
doll's working
hard for the money. I think that the doll itself was not the bad guy, the painting or the doll. I think the devil guy was. It made me feel like the doll porcelain thing was a spy there to collect information on the two biggest threats to Revenants, Doc and Wynonna. And she's pregnant now, so you see a demon who's now seen Wynonna pregnant because the other Revenants don't know. So this spy has seen her pregnant. They know what they're talking about. They know what the seal is. There was a lot, and her whole speech, Wynonna's about Revenants are attracted to the third seal. They're going to be attracted to the seal. So, of course, these demons and things are showing up. Even though, the devil guy had killed the store owner way before Doc even showed up. How did he know Doc was even going to show up? You know what I'm saying?
There was a lot, and I just say, I didn't think it was necessary to have the portrait storyline. I thought you would have had a stronger episode without it. And that's just my opinion. And I think you could have introduced that demon in a better way. Have him show up to Doc's bar. That makes more sense to me than, Doc show up to a random pawn shop for a drink he doesn't
what would have been great, actually? And you're very, very correct, where we could have not had it. And I think that Wynonna showing us how high the stakes are to get this seal should have been enough for them to have the conversation. It should have been enough to, when she said, just give me the damn ring, like her fighting what she saw about Doc in the past, seeing Doc now, him being kind of selfish and keeping the ring, I think that the stakes are high enough that they should have been able to have an honest conversation, which also would have shown kind of growth in Wynonna of just standing on her own 2 feet and standing up for herself and really taking the reins about being the heir and not having some force draw it out of her. I think it would have been bigger if she's like, I am pregnant, I am hormonal, and I just need you to shut up and do what the hell I say without being, told by a doll to do it, or, compelled, if you will. And
yeah, she didn't need to be compelled to have that.
Yeah, because I think she was she was already compelled in her own self, and she was already wanting to bring it up, and I think that when you do get on a kind of a roll and you're finally spewing out truth, you might say things that are a little harsher, a little harder, and I think he could have taken things wrong and then kind of amped him up. So I think they could have amped each other up to actually getting to this pinnacle of really telling the truth. And then when they got there, saw where they are, and go, oh my God, I guess we needed that talk. I guess we needed to go here. And then it's that whole promising, I will promise. But once again, it's Wynonna Earp. She needed to shoot something with Peacemaker, and it was going to be that ugly-ass, creepy-ass doll. I'm sorry, Emily, CGI people, I laughed my ass off. Absolutely cackled like Ursula the Witch when the ring flies in the air and this creepy baseball mitted, like, weird porcelain hand is just like, I got it, and it catches the ring. I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've seen my entire life.
Can you imagine the dude who was in the puppet who had to, like,
absolutely
put his hand up and be like, I got it, slowly?
Really, guys, go back, because this is this huge emotional scene, and he throws the ring. Way to be mature girl about it, Doc. throwing your ring out her.
Could have just handed it to her.
Don't have to be an asshole about it.
Stopped everything from being a problem.
But, like, legitimately cracked me up because it was just like the slowest motion. Okay, Jen says sometimes she hates the slow motion because it's almost too overused. This is the first time in the whole 2 seasons. I agree with you in this moment.
I just feel like they have a lot of slow motions where it's like they have Wynonna walking slowly after doing something to punctuate the moment. And she's like, I'm a badass, and then music plays in the background. It's very like kind of like Rebel Without a Cause / what's that movie, Breakfast Club? Don't you forget about me.
Breakfast Club, that always makes me laugh. You know what? So yeah, Doc and Wynonna, it's a hot mess, but I appreciated the emotional ridiculousness of it. I love the image of him on his knee, and it's very domesticated, and it was everything we wanted. And it was a nice reminder that after all this yelling and ridiculousness, they both kind of came to a conclusion of, let's just do this for everybody. Let's do this for us. I'm not going to do this, break these seals without you. I don't want to do this journey without you because I'm going to need you, and that might have been an emotional acclamation, but I think it really was just like the first time that you can tell they were partners. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I felt like it was a look at what's like what could be. It's like it was a view into what could be between Wynonna and Doc.
Yeah.
It was like the audience peak of view into that.
Now, speaking of people who were like, I feel so bad for Rosita, and I want to kind of speak upon her because she is a lovely person that we've learned, and Doc is using her as kind of a second fiddle because he's so not monogamous and blah, 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 and because Wynonna hasn't chosen him, so he's trying to keep his options open, which kind of makes me sad for Rosita. The idea that she's okay knowing that she's the second string, but hoping to be more. She got treated like crap by, this guy, and she took up with his best friend, and then ended up getting shot up, and killed for a man. So she probably doesn't have the best record when it comes to finding the right type of guy to be around, and that's a bummer, but I feel so bad. Doc doesn't care about her. And in this moment, in this episode, we see her feeling lonely. We see her feeling, not wanted and an outsider. She's already a revenant, keeping a secret. And, so now she has like kind of a friend to talk to in Waverly. It's a whole thing. And I didn't mention how they even get to the spa, but Doll's giving her the gift card was actually a great scene because he's like, just take the damn gift card. I'm not good at this. I'm trying to say thank you. Stop being a bitch about it. And like, she's awkward because she's not good at taking gifts. Like, I thought that was a really great dichotomy between the two of them. They're trying to get along, but like, it's kind of silly. Also, the gift card said whatever, like forever eternal, which is
eternity.
Well, yeah, forever eternity. And it's such a clue to Rosita.
It was very ironic, yes. The first thing I thought when I saw Rosita and Doc was work relationship balance, because technically Rosita is dating her boss, and
Truth.
And I felt like you could see immediately the imbalance between her and Doc, working in a place. She's working while he's going to go have this weird dinner date with Wynonna. And Wynonna's sitting there and she's serving Wynonna. Or I think, yeah, she's working. And he kind of talks to her sharply. And at the same time, she does hold the title girlfriend. So I just felt like right away there was like a real imbalance between them in this relationship. And I wish I'd seen more of how this came to be because it came to be in the off camera, so I wish I'd seen more of that on camera. I also really enjoyed the Forever Eternity gift card between Dolls and Rosita, and I also thought it was pretty funny when she offers to cook up the best drugs for Wynonna.
Oh, yeah.
When she goes into labor. And I was like, if she just monetized that, she's set.
She's set. Well, it's funny, because you had said this about the whole working for your boss. She's also sleeping with the guy who ultimately is going to protect her from his baby mama. Rosita's a revenant. She can't be killed by anybody else other than Wynonna. So this is one of the reasons we see him saying, you need to get along with the Earp sisters. And I thought it was fascinating that, we thought of it as more like, oh, you're the girlfriend, so get along with them. He was saying, get along with Wynonna and Waverly so that they can, in a way, learn to like you, see who you really are, and not see you as a revenant. Because if you see him as a revenant, you'll just get killed. Kind of like in the sleeping episode, the Sandman episode, Wynonna didn't really want to kill the Sandman. She was like, he got used. He was just trying to do, whatever. He just got used. And Doll's like, he's a revenant. Doesn't matter what happens. You need to kill him. And she just pops him. But she was really upset about it because she was like, he didn't ask for that. And we see Doc and the eternity thing, but he's also not appreciating her boundaries and looking through her notebook, for dolls and stuff. And I think he's going to be the one who, if something happens, he's going to be like, you need to kill her. She's revenant. And he's the one who's going to have to learn a lesson that just because you're revenant doesn't mean you're a bad person. Because I don't think he understands that, like, Bobo did not mean he was not supposed to be a revenant. Rosita got caught in the wrong place, wrong time, and now she's a revenant, So I think that's going to be a lesson that it's going to come up, it's going to come back, and I don't know, it's a lot. It's a lot of backstory about Rosita, and it's a lot that I love now about this character. I knew I was going to like her. I just didn't know how or how deep of information we were going to get on her, I just think that knowing...
We were talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
We were talking about her being a revenant, and that's something that we learn at the end of the episode, but it has such a huge impact because we now know that she knew Doc when he was like an asshole back in the day, a part of the gang, and we also know that she's been alive for a very, very long time. We brought up the point that she's been killed by other Earps, and she's probably gone to hell, or she has gone to hell. And so now we know of two revenants that we have more compassion for, Bobo and Rosita. And basically, Bobo goes to hell and he becomes this evil person. He was a good man who becomes evil. Rosita goes to hell and she gets 2 master's degrees.
It really shows. I was saying it really showcases. Are the revenants bad, or is it by design? You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, Bobo was a good man. We saw that he was Robert's Fane, and he was so, meek. But what we did see was his jealousy and his obsession with Wyatt, and the fact that he wanted to have more power, he just didn't. And I think hell, as Constance Clooney said, all that good man, it'll get taken out of you once you're in hell. Well, if we're seeing Rosita and she's like this nice, awesome woman, and she's been to hell, that's not the case. Hell just probably makes you embrace all your darkness and all that, and showing what kind of weak man Robert really was, that he gave into it. Even though, yes, he protected Waverly, he still gave into it. He might have only had the emotional capacity to remember Waverly to protect her later, but everything else fell by the wayside. Rosita's been in hell. And every time she pops out of hell, guess what she does? Goes and gets a master's degree. Goes and gets like a doctorate in science, because at the end of the day, she wants to help. She wants to make people better. She didn't even pick like a weird career where it's all like, I'm going to be a movie star, or I'm going to play the lottery, or be gambling because I know how this works. No, she went to be a doctor and a scientist, and like, she wants to help. So that speaks a lot about her character, that she's wise, that she was in the wrong place, wrong time. Might have a few daddy issues, who knows? But also, at the end of the day, wants to be better.
And it's interesting because she and Waverly both have it share a commonality. They both have the ability to be resilient. Waverly was able to put off becoming dark and corrupted by the goo, where Wynonna wasn't, and Rosita was able to put off being corrupted by hell, where Bobo wasn't. So they both have a high tolerance for evil, which is fascinating. Yes,
and they might be. I mean, as Waverly says later, she might have been a half revenant or whatever. That might be a part of that curse or whatever, making him strong. Who knows? But it was just so fascinating, and we shall talk about it now because everybody's literal panties are in a bunch. The whole kissing scene and the spa scene between her and Waverly. I want to just talk on the Rosita side of this first. Rosita's there to have a friend. Let's go to the spa. We both need a day away. She's feeling neglected by Doc. Waverly's feeling neglected by the world. And she's like, let's do this. Okay, cool. I had told Jen, if you listen to the last podcast, Waverly, in her spiral, was already kind of looking at Rosita in a I was like, something's up there, and I don't know what the deal is. So I kind of put it on the back burner, but also it caught my eye. So on this, you have her there. I think it's adorable, the beginning scene, Rosita's trying to calm her down in the spa because she's been there, done that. She's like, what's the big deal? We're just, relax, relax, relax. Things will work out. Just take this time to work on you. Make yourself better and don't worry about other people, And the whole spa time, she is really trying to get Waverly to talk to Nicole, check out her phone, check out the text, get back in touch with her. And, Waverly's doing her own thing. But the fact that she's compassionate enough to be like, hey, you really need to fix this, or she really is sorry. Like, come on, you got to start seeing it from a different point of view. Now, when Waverly kisses her, at first I was like, well, on Waverly's behalf, boo. But Rosita kisses her back. And in that moment, I don't think she was kissing Waverly. I felt like Rosita was kissing or trying to feel wanted because Doc doesn't want her. Ultimately. She was feeling super dejected today. And I think that by her kissing kind of Waverly back was kind of her way of also going, God, I'm just so mad that I'm not seen as desirable in this moment. Somebody's looking at me through my brains and not just what I look like. And it was a moment, she had a moment. So that's on Rosita's side. I don't know. Could you speak to Rosita's side before we get to Waverly?
I really like Rosita, and I liked Rosita kissing Waverly back, and I feel now that I know that they both may be of the same kind of not quite human background, reverence. I feel like I absolutely want to see that explored a lot more. I'm all for Wave Zeta. I put some guacamole with sour cream on it.
Jeez.
And give me a bowl.
Oh my gosh.
Because I could use more of this.
I really just think she's hungry right now.
Waverly's not been with other women. She's only been with Nicole, and I love the way hot. I love it. I love it. Give me a. I love that. Okay, but I absolutely loved this relationship between Rosita and Waverly. I love that Rosita didn't pursue it beyond that kiss. I love that they have so much in common. I love that they're both very compassionate. I love that they're both very resilient. They have some base qualities that could, in itself, be a really fun thing to see evolve. And oh my God, would it blow Doc's mind and kill his hubris? He found out his lady was into Waverly, the one person who seems to get to Doc beneath the belt every time when it comes to emotional maturity. And that his greatest love competition is actually the waves. So I know a lot of people are going to be like, that's all kinds of wrong. But, if I learned anything from the Super Corp, you ship what the heart wants to ship.
Gosh.
And I like the Wave Zeta.
I think that I actually really like I like their friendship. I see it as a blossoming best friendship. I was saying there's a lot of parallels in this show. Okay? Wynonna finally had Mercedes for a while to become an actual friend. She wasn't relying on the boys or her sister. She got somebody outside the circle. I think Waverly, for the first time, has somebody who's not really in the circle because she's on the outskirts. I want to talk about Waverly because I know a lot of people are like, she kissed her, she cheated, blah, 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 oh my God. Yes, boo on Waverly for kissing somebody else while in a relationship. Now, to talk about Waverly's emotional state and where she's at. People, I think, are forgetting because Dom's so good at this and she's so nice. Waverly's 21 years old. She has never left purgatory. She just recently found her sister. Her sister came back when she's been studying and going to school, learning dead languages and learning all these things about archaeology and blah, 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 so that she can be the heir. Her sister comes back and is like, just kidding, I'm the heir. And she has to take a back seat. All that hard work for nothing. We saw that kind of point that she's upset about it. Then they find her older sister, who has apparently always hated her. And she's had to deal with the death of that woman and also the kind of recent trauma that she also inflicted watching her shoot her girlfriend, things like that. Then Waverly, not even then, but before that, Waverly came out of the closet. She had this kind of terrible, not abusive boyfriend, just an idiot. He was dumb as a box of rocks, and it was stifling her, and it made her feel.
I really miss him this season.
I kind of do. I mean, I miss Champ for so many other reasons, but
I miss Champ
because I think his type of man and his character needs to be seen so that it could also be thwarted. But like, you know, yeah, I kind of miss Champ, and I think it's just that actor. Something about him I really like, but Waverly has this boyfriend and just realizes that she likes this girl, comes out, has a girlfriend, has to come out to everybody else like that, and then to find out she might not even be an Earp, and then to find out she might even be human fully. Like, if you were 21, true story, guys, honestly, really think about this. When you were 21, unless you are 21, if you found out you're adopted, possibly not part of your family, also you thought you were going to be the head of your family's company, but then turns out somebody who you don't really know that well comes back and is like, I'm your sister, and I'm the head of the company, sorry about it. After you did years of trying to research how to be the best head of the company, you're going to be a little weird. You're going to for those of you who aren't gay, but for those of you, us who are, when you come out, it ain't fun the first few moments of like, woo, I'm out. There's a lot you have to process and deal with, and she is spiraling. Waverly is absolutely spiraling. And also being the bubbly, fun sister, she has not been able to actually acknowledge her spiral. She's just now telling Wynonna that she might not be her sister. She's just now confiding in somebody who isn't Nicole, and you know, she has bad Champ vibes of him trying to control her, and so when Nicole did that, that's where she wasn't reacting to Nicole, she was reacting to past hurts that Champ gave her. Like, there is so much that Waverly is going through, and so for her in this moment in the hot tub to be focusing on herself, relaxing, be mad, super immature, of course, and this woman who now she realizes she likes women, so you know that opens that up, is saying these nice things and being so kind to her, she kisses her. Now, obviously, like I said, if she wasn't taken, there'd be no problem. I absolutely believe that she realized in that moment that she was wrong, honey, wrong. And I know that she's going to Emily's probably going to have her tell Nicole, because, I mean, there's so many things that would be bad if they didn't. Like, not even, it'd be bad, like, ooh, drama-wise. It would be bad for the show and for the, like, fandom and stuff. It wouldn't be good. So she's probably going to tell her. But the idea that, you know, oh, she cheated and people are like, oh, I'm done with this I'm done with We're Hot, you know, I'm done with the show. Guys, she's going through so much, and until you put yourself in that position, you can't say you would never cheat on somebody or kiss somebody. She didn't sleep with her. She kissed her in a moment of absolute stupidity, in a moment of hurt, and a moment of emotional spiral. Waverly isn't functioning like a normal, everything's going great in my life, oh, I'm going to kiss another woman. She literally is grasping on straws to stay afloat. And she kissed this woman and then felt even more, you know, she felt worse about it after that, because now that's one more thing she has on her plate that she has to deal with, you know? So it's like, the kiss happened. It was aesthetically pleasing, let's not lie and act like we didn't like that. But, you know, there's a lot.
I like me some Wave Zeta.
Yeah.
It was good. I think that Waverly is 21 years old, and even if you did meet your love of your life / the person you're going to be with, that story is never going to be an easy one, and it's always going to be fraught with conflict. Mm-hmm. I don't think Nicole's going anywhere. I think Nicole understands. I think Waverly lost her sister. I think she still is coming to grips with the relationship between her and Willa. You know, this girl who wasn't really nice to her, who was her sister, who's now dead, and oh my god, we might only be halvesies. There's a lot there. I think that Waverly is also, like I said, I think there does needs to be more exploration. And last week we talked about the price that would be paid for Nicole keeping the truth to protect Waverly would be that of her relationship. And one of the things I really like is I like every time Waverly gets upset at Nicole. I love it. I love to see Nicole in trouble, because I just think that I think that it's more realistic. And I think that a good couple, a good ship, a good television couple, good writing is showing that a couple can withstand, it can withstand conflict, a good amount of conflict. And that really makes it a good, I think that makes it intriguing to watch this couple on television.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This episode, guys, was so much. Like, I honestly could talk about it for another hour on small things because there's so much to grasp and so much to the nuances that Emily's kind of written into this. And I know that, with as far as Way Hot's concerned, everybody's like dealing with it. Before I was gonna mention, because it just really takes 2 seconds. Tucker's an asshole. I'm glad he's dead. He's the creepiest of the creeps. I'm glad for those of you who aren't clear, because Jen was asking me, I think he's fully dead. I know we didn't see, quote unquote, the body like JC getting eaten, but she bit into him. They didn't like him. They wanted him out. He betrayed them. So I'm 100% sure she killed him in the forest. But, their whole rule of we didn't see the body. So.
And I think that you need to see the body because Tucker's been dead 3 times now, or 2 times. So if they start the next episode with Tucker's funeral, then I'll believe he's dead.
So, there's that. But I genuinely loved, like, I was shooketh on this episode. I watched it like 6 times. And each time I'm like, God, there's just so much I want to talk about. Is Waverly an angel? What's Bobo? Who knows what? Doc has drama. Is he gonna die? Dolls has stuff. So good. And I'm so glad that...
Well...
What?
Okay, so we didn't even get to the end, which is, the big cliffhanger with Nicole.
And we gonna talk about
it. Well, seeing her be confronted by the widow Mercedes and what that repercussion is going to be. I don't think Nicole's getting killed anytime soon. When I saw that happening, I thought that immediately, yeah, she might get attacked, but I just don't believe that Mercedes is there necessarily to murder her. I think maybe Mercedes is there to enact whatever plan she had been creating at the tomb with the rings, and Nicole's a part of it. So it was a nice surprise, but I was never worried for Nicole in that capacity.
Possible spoilers. So if you don't want to hear possible spoilers, I suggest you hit us up on Twitter at whatabout_that, and then keep it moving. But for as far as the spoilers for the promo, I have a lot to say about the promo, but I'll keep it brief. I think that Nicole once again becomes the punching bag, and I think she gets used as leverage. Kate has gone to say that you will get more of Way Hot's backstory. So I think that, Nicole's backstory. So I think that we will learn why Mercedes is actually at her door, because she's either going to take her as a hostage to get to the Earp sisters. Because the thing is, Wynonna has the seal now, and it's on the homestead, which means it's cloaked from anything that's evil. So in order to get that cloak or that ring out in the open or whatever it is, she's going to take somebody hostage. I don't think she's still in a face anytime soon. That would be ridiculous. I do believe that we saw some things, a scene with Nedley. I think he'll be used as the body for Clutie. I think they've already foreshadowed him leaving and, Nicole being the next sheriff. If you look in the trailer for season 2 in general, there's episodes of Way Hot together still that we haven't seen. I think that Waverly will come to the rescue of Nicole. I think there's just a lot that's going to happen with Nicole. I think next week is going to be a heavy, heavy Nicole story. I think that she is more powerful than we give her credit. I think because Nedley chose her. He's like JC except not supernatural. He knows a lot about a lot of things and keeps his, information to the chest kind of thing. And I think that he knows something about Nicole maybe that she doesn't know.
He knows a lot about he knows about what's going on, but he doesn't do anything to serve that knowledge. He just lets it hang there.
Just like JC.
And I think that's kind of a problem with that character. But he's an inactive character. And if we were to see him like get killed, or I don't think I'd care, because he's not a main enough character for me to care at all.
Well, the thing is, that's why I think he's going to die, but I think we'll probably see more of him if he dies and becomes Clutie. You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen this mild-mannered kind of old dad type thing in Nedley, and if he gets possessed by something evil, he's going to be an old school badass revenant. You know what I'm saying? And I think that'll be great to watch that actor do in the first place. And that'll give us some more reason to, like, will he have Nedley's knowledge? What will happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's something going on. There's something going to happen. This next episode's going to be wild, and I cannot wait. But speaking of the one we just covered, guys, so much to talk about. If you want to keep talking about this episode, which I'm down for until the next one comes out, please hit us up on Twitter. What about _dat on Twitter? You guys.
And put us in your ears. We're now available on iTunes.
True story. That is a true story. But hit us up. Also, next Friday we'll be doing, once again, live tweeting and stuff like that, because it's super fun and everybody's super sarcastic, and it's going to be a emotional roller coaster.
It's going to be a tweet fest.
Tweet
off.
It's going to be a tweet off. That sounds weird, but I like it.
Oh, I want Emily to tweet us. I want to be like, hello, Emily. Let's talk.
Let's have some words, ma'am. Seriously. So thanks for listening, guys. We'll hit you up again. Have a good night. Bye.